took my load, took it down. Climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in the snow-covered hills till a landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child in my heart rise above me? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older. Now I'm getting older too. So well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I build my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. So take my load, take it down. Climb a mountain and you turn around, and if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, the landslide will bring it down. If you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, maybe the landslide will bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down.
Wow.
Kathy
That
Richardson.
was outstanding.
That was
Outstanding.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Amazing.
everybody.
So, yeah, last week we did a community visioning. After we visioned, I did receive some notes from people that I wanted to share, and some, just some information and inspiration. One of them told me that we, instead of going back to the church, that we could have an outdoor church every once in a while, which I thought was a beautiful idea. Several told me that they saw retreats and weekends in our future, and I thought that was a beautiful idea. Some folks said that they just kind of left a note because they were excited about the prospect and possibility of being a unity community. So we'll see about that. We're going to have a conversation about that. And if you have anything else, any thoughts about our community, good or bad, share them. We're open. Reverend Barbara Clevenger is running a conversation every Wednesday night in November to answer any questions about our transitioning to unity. Might happen, might not. We're just staying open. How that would look, and if you're interested in being a part of that conversation and having a say in the direction of our community, you're going to want to show up to that. So what I can promise is no matter what we call ourselves, the content isn't really going to change anything. You can take the girl out of Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of the girl. And I think Kathy Richardson is going to be Kathy Richardson no matter what you call us. So the other message that I actually got this week, which I thought was worth sharing with you, because I like to pay attention to signs and symbols, was that this large and beautiful hawk landed on this perch right outside my door. And I had to look it up, and I wanted to share that message with you because I thought it was maybe for all of us. It says, when a hawk sweeps into your life, be ready for a whole new level of awareness, developing your mind and spirit. Hawk bears observation skills and broad perceptions on his wings, and you couldn't ask for a better companion if you've been working on your overall insight. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have been working on our insight. That's the whole thing that we did with the visioning. So Hawk is often a messenger of angels and the divine. He signals a time in your life when you need to focus on what's ahead and prepare for a leadership role. Your global vision is a potent helpmate, and in this, and just as Hawk, you're ready to fly higher than ever before. And it's not unusual for Hawk to inspire a time when you begin working heavily with new divination methods. So that's kind of interesting because this last 2 months we've been really focusing on our connection with the Divine Blessed Mother, which is a beautiful thing. If you're interested in doing that, we meet every single night. It says effectively, you're learning to trust your inner guide and higher self. Do not simply brush off gut instincts as being happenstance. When Hawk is around, these moments become far more frequent. Direct your attention to the messages you're getting and let Hawk hone your focus. So I'm just delivering this message to you. But I thought this was a perfect way to fly into the crown chakra. And here we are at the crown chakra, and in getting here we've had to go through some stuff, right? We've had to come to and through some beautiful awarenesses of our own. We looked at the ways that we've been holding ourselves back, and maybe we got to think about how we might allow ourselves to experience a greater degree of freedom. And we did this through self introspection to illuminate our greater potential and allow us to love more and, as Deb said, fear less. So I hope that doing this work has helped you to find yourself with greater clarity and intuition and divine connections. But wait, there's more. We haven't arrived completely. We're not done with our climb from the known to the mystery, from the tips of the roots of the lotus flower to the place where the lotus communes with light. And you're the lotus and you're the light and you're seeking yourself. You've been rising like a flower through the murky waters from the subconscious to the conscious, and now you're leaning towards full enlightenment. And as we draw this journey to completion or continuation, we arrive not so much at a destination as a destiny. So we live in our destiny to know what we're destined for. The whole journey was a predetermined course that was set in motion the moment we forgot who we were and whose we were. You think that God would let us walk the world, weary and alone? Do you think that just because we might forget our own divinity, that God would forget too? Well, God doesn't forget. God knows the number of grains of sand on the shore. God delights in every blade of grass. And this God knows and delights in you as well. It's like that hawk. And like the hawk, God sends messages to us, signs and symbols, songs, synchronicities, saucy redheads who are going to hunt you down and bring you back to your own divinity. We evolve and we expand from the form and the foundational to the fantastic and the faith-filled. But as we started in the beginning of the stages, every single level is important to the whole. We got us to look at it, an internal inventory, and got us to see. We began with the roots, where we shored up our foundation and our truth and are remembering that the roots need care, that the root of our life needs care, that we don't heal the roots by pruning the branches or judging the branches. We look at how we've been fed and feeding our root ideas, the food, the habits, the contents, the thoughts. We took stock and we questioned, what are we rooting for? And are we rooted in love? And this took us to the sacral chakra, which helped us to revisit our passions and awaken our wanting and being aware to what still lives on the circumference of our experience and how to maybe demonstrate and collaborate on those desires, to collaborate in love so that no matter what arrives at the door, if it's a hawk or if it's a hardened soul, like we don't say, oh no, we say, let's go, let's grow, let's flow with this. And so that's what we did. We flowed right into the solar plexus. That's the fire in the belly that stoked our own will and reminds us that what may have burned us actually confirmed us. And that the alchemy that happens on the internal landscape can transform a massacre into majestic and a crucifixion into a crusade. And from that well-fueled passion, we find ourselves at the heart of the matter. And then we learned about the heart and heart math, what we took in, what we blessed, how we released it. The heart was all about ebb and flow, giving and receiving. And scientifically, we came to see how we were solar powered light beings. I really liked that part. But of course, this is something we already knew. Being reminded just made us feel more lighthearted. And this made us want to make a joyful noise and to be a mouthpiece for God, taking responsibility for our words and imagining that if we did speak for God, we would probably only have praise for ourselves and for others. And if we could see this possibility, it might open up our third eye and have a holy vision of a world that would work for everyone and our place in it. And we would take responsibility for seeing the world, not just as a horror movie, but as a romantic comedy, and that we would get to decide how we wanted to see the world. And if we took the time to peek into that vision of how God sees us, we would see possibly the fulfilled promise of our own divinity, and we would be able to reach for our own crown. So before we speak of the crown, I'd just like to offer some advice that you're probably not going to take about relationships. But everybody can use relationship advice. In relationships, we usually work at knowing each other from the root up, as I just went through the chakras from the root up. We kind of come to each other from the root and we ask these questions like, where do you live? It's a root question. What do you do? That's a root question. Where were you born? How old are you? What's your sign? What do you want from life? Maybe we get to there, and sometimes we might even be brave enough to speak of our hearts, and we might say, what do you love? And underneath that, we're questioning, do you love me? Does this sound familiar? So all of these questions that we use to court each other come from the bottom three chakras. We come at relationships from the root up, and we get socially intimate with each other based on facts and figures that we put forth in hopes of seducing each other, and rarely do we take the time to question or query the most important stuff. Are you spiritually tapped in? And who's your God? And do you have a clear vision of your future? Vision and connection is the third eye and the crown chakra. The top two chakras scare people. They scare people off. They say, "Don't let's not talk about divinity or destiny. Let's just bump body parts." We connect from the waist down really easily, but don't ask me about my vision or my God because that's way too intimate. I don't want to infuse, guilt into this at all because bumping body parts is beautiful. That's how we all got here. But I just want to make a suggestion that, again, you probably won't take because I work with people a lot who are on the dating scene, and I advise them not to get into bed with anyone until they take the road from the crown down. And I can't say that they don't always listen to me because the truth is they never listen to me. They never listen. But it's okay. I'm still going to give this advice because I think it's important. Because I promise you, actually, I do. I promise you that whether you're dating or in the dating scene or looking for creative collaborations, if you go from the crown down, your relationships will have a way better chance at happiness. In fact, that's how Kathy and I met. We started when the very first time we met, we prayed together. I knew her God, which was goddess. She knew my God. And we were brought together through a spiritual invitation, which was probably a divine, orchestration. But nevertheless, that's how it started. And I think that that's one of the main reasons that we have such an easy and amicable collaboration. I know her and I knew her as a spiritual being before I ever found out that she was a rock star. That was very cool when I found out that she was a rock star, but I knew her as a spiritual being first. This is how we should see each other. Now, I personally have gone both ways. I've gone from the root up and I've gone from the crown down. And if you want to work on yourself, you go from the root up. If you want to engage with someone else, you see them from the crown down. Just trust me on this one. So, what is the crown chakra? The crown chakra is where we allow ourselves to experience direct communication with our own divinity. This is the Holy Communion where you find yourself melting like a sugar cube in the hot tea of God, where we release our hold on the words and the wants and the will and our wishes and our ways. And we move past all of that. And the very things that have attempted to bring us to this spiritual mystery at this point must be murdered. Because the mystery is not experienced through words or wants or wills or wishes or ways. The mystery is experienced only through silence. The silence brings us to an open space where we get to float on the breath of God. And once you experience this awareness, you'll have an understanding that will also not be able to be captured in words, because between you and me, there's a miracle. That's what we get when we exchange love with each other. We get an extension of love that requires no sacrifice on our most optimal exchanges. And we can talk about these things and we can bring about these things. But between you and God is revelation, and that cannot be contained in words. This is only experience. A Course in Miracles talks about this. It says a universal religion is not possible. We're all going to have our own experiences of the divine, but a universal experience is possible and necessary. And what they're pointing out is the universal experience of love that goes beyond words. So it's the place where tomorrow melts. It's the place where yesterday fades away. It's the place where the only thing that's left is right now. And can you live in that eternal presence? Yes. Yes, you can. It takes practice to stay present, but it's worth it. And from that presence, you will engage with the world, not from the desire to get and change the world. You will engage with the world only to love the world exactly as it is, and to know that that you don't have to change anything about it or you. And this is really where we begin to see things differently. Until this moment, we can only see the world as a mirror telling us who we are and showing us our shadows. So Byron Katie has a great body of work called The Work, because it takes work to do this work. And Elizabeth is going to be teaching it for 4 weeks. And it helps us to see how we project our unhealed bits and parts out on the world. And so that is seeing the world as a mirror. But when you get to the crown, this light that floods through you is so brilliant that it illuminates everything to the point where you no longer see shadows, you no longer see self, you no longer even see a mirror. You're just the lotus rising, and we begin to surrender into the light and begin to value the connection with the light more than the reflection of the mirror. And that's a pretty beautiful and intense place to get to. But we graduate to it. We graduate to the light and we experience enlightenment. And for that experience, there are no words. Like Kyle Gabron says, words murder thoughts. But the feeling is fluid and the feeling is unified. And the unification is where we're connected with everything. Everything. Yeah. Everything on the planet, to all of life. We see things as perfect. We see things as lovely. Can you imagine? I'm sure you're thinking in your mind right now, even that guy, perfect and lovely? Just try it. Don't knock it till you try it. But when we get to this desired outcome, we will be granted a glimpse of our God, the divine creator that authored it all. And it can feel, like I said, intense, but nevertheless, like, don't you want to see that? Aren't you done with your own projections? Aren't you curious about where God meets God, where we honor the light that's within all of us, that namaste, that nirvana, that oneness, that holy communion, that true holy communion, that holy ground, where we let go of figuring things out and facts and figures and forms, and we allow ourselves to fly on the wings of faith? I think the answer is yes. If the third eye is about seeing the truth, the crown is about being the truth. It's about full embodiment. With the third eye, you see the vision, you capture the vision, as we did last week when we sat and meditated and went to capture a vision. With the crown chakra, you don't need to capture it. It just drops in and you get a holy download. We get to witness that every week when we see Kathy singing. We're like, why did you sing that song? She's like, I don't know, it just came to me. That's it. It's not special. You're already doing it. Every strike of inspiration, every clear knowing, every demonstration of your connection, you're already doing it. It may seem odd and special, in the same way that maybe wearing a crown seems odd and special. I once had an acting coach who always wore a tiara. God bless her, Sylvia Lee. She was very short, so the crown gave her a little more height. But, crowns, when we think about crowns, they're worn by kings and queens and deities, birthday girls, and beauty queens. Special people on special days. Most of us feel a little self-conscious and silly sporting a crown. People might start talking. So, how do we get to the crown and how do we get comfortable in the crown? We go the same way that Prince Henry, that Prince Charles, that Prince Andrew, who turned out to be not too much of a prince after all, that's another story. The same way that they became royalty. They were born into their earthly crown. And this is the same for you. You are a part of the spiritual royal family of love. You have been christened and crowned. You were just born that way. You and me and Lady Gaga, all of us have been just born that way, divine royalty. But we don't always feel comfortable with this truth, so we project out saints and saviors to seduce us back into the kingdom. And even when they come and roll out the red carpet for us to return, we get kind of hung up and strung out, fickle, and we find ourselves wanting to murder them. We had one such teacher who came as a baby, who was a good Jewish boy. He became the king of kings. Let's call him Jesus because that was his name. And he taught us that, he attempted to remind us that we were innocent, that we were healed, holy, and honored in God's vision. And he told us that God was simple and clear and uncomplicated and loving, and that God required no rites or rituals. And there was a strong card in the Jesus deck that he played early and often, and that was that Jesus prayed and meditated. And like I said, if you want to know a person, you need to know their God and how they get there, how they spend their Holy Communion. He showed us a recipe over and over and over again that he used in hopes that we might take him up on the shortcuts that his spiritual principles afforded us. And it spoke about it in the Bible, which I don't usually teach from, but the Bible, Matthew 5:14, it says, love your neighbors and pray for them. Matthew 5, he taught us a prayer called the Our Father. Matthew 23, he went out and prayed alone. Matthew 19:13, they bring in the children, he prays on them. Matthew 26, he tells his followers, stay here, I'm going to go off and pray. I mean, on and on and on in the Bible, it talks about how he rises early, he goes out, he departs into solitude, and he meditates and prays. And that's just one of the Gospels. So this guy was actively seeking God. Jesus was like the newborn baby showing us how to secure the crown. The newborn baby is a good teacher, and Jesus said, be like the children. And the way to become a great king of love is we have to be like little children. When a child is born and begins to exit the birth canal, the doctor will say, he's crowning or she's crowning. The child is crowning, and just like the king, the child knows the exact thing to do to ensure a graceful entrance. It's what we do every morning on A Course in Miracles, Miracles Live 365. Before we even begin to read the lesson, we do this thing. This is what the baby does intuitively, knows how to ensure a graceful delivery. This is what Jesus did whenever he needed to connect with his grace. He tucked his chin and bowed his head. To enter into the holy womb of wisdom, we too are invited to enter into this life of grace by tucking our chin and bowing our head. Seems like a humble pose for some kings and queens. Well, from this humble yet holy pose, we connect with our crown. And we experience all of the benefits of prayer and meditation. And still, prayer and meditation, with all of the benefits that we know about it, is still, let's be honest, the road less traveled. So to do this, we must humble ourselves and humble our plans. A humble man doesn't think less of himself. He just thinks of himself less so he can think more of God. And that's what this whole series has been about, to simply for us to think more about God. Would that be the worst thing? This is the seventh chakra. And on the seventh day, God even demonstrated to us how to move about when she rests on the seventh day. She consecrates the seventh day by doing nothing. Even God tucks her chin and bows her head. Emmett Fox says that our life becomes consecrated when we're ready at all times to do what love would have us do. When we're willing and excited to be fully expressions of love so that God can be fully expressed. That you dedicate your thoughts, your words, your deeds to your divine. during every hour of every day, and that you're no longer concerned with the questions of results. Because who would question results if they knew they walked in divinity? Instead of being curious about the destination, we become committed to the devotion, and we go with God, and we go where God would have us go. We say what love would have us say. We do what love would have us do. And when it's all been done, we do nothing but wait on the Lord. And we know that we're sustained by the love of God. That's the section from A Course in Miracles, lesson 50. I'm sustained by the love of God. Here's the answer to every problem that will confront you today, tomorrow, and throughout time. In this world, you believe that you're sustained by everything but God. Your faith is placed in the most trivial and insane symbols: pills, money, protective clothing, influence, prestige, being liked, knowing the right people, and an endless list of forms of nothingness that you endow with magical powers. All of these things are your replacement for the love of God. All of these things are cherished to ensure a body identification. They're songs of praise to the ego. Do not put your faith in the worthless. It will not sustain you. It goes on to say that only the love of God will protect you in all circumstances, will lift you in every trial, and raise you high above all the perceived dangers of the world into a climate of perfect peace and safety. It will transport you into a state of mind where nothing can threaten, nothing can disturb, and where nothing can intrude upon the internal calm of the son and daughters of God. So we cannot ascend to God like distracted meat wenches fumbling through the door. We must surrender all and come naked and noble to our holy appointment, saying, not God, what will you do for me? But rather, here I am, Lord. My hands are empty. I'm reaching only for you. Lift me to the kingdom of your consciousness. Return me to the realm of Sophia and the wisdom of love, and fashion me into that which supports your will and the evolution of all. Here I am, Lord. It's me. I've heard you calling. I will go if you lead me, and I will hold your people in my heart. And that's the word.
Yay.
I love that I get a yay from you every Sunday.
Always. You always get a yay from me.
Yeah.
All right, I figured out what my problem was. My battery was dead in my guitar. And
Well,
it's on now. Listen to that.
yeah, it is.
Oh. Just let me be in tune. A long time ago, the pharaohs and the kings had a plan, put the people on their knees, so that those who were different and did not conform, the government could do what they please. But the sinners and the saints are one and the same. Everyone is perfectly flawed. We feel the same pain, so get on the train and meet me in heaven with the Lord. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I've taken your holy name in vain against those who have twisted your message around. persecute others in your name, yeah, 'cause the sinners and the saints are one and the same. Everyone is perfectly flawed. We feel the same pain. So get on the train and meet me in heaven with the Lord. Remember, my friends, the words Jesus said, and take them wherever you may roam. That whosoever is without sin may cast the first stone. So pour it down your rock and go. 'Cause the sinners and the saints are one and the same. Everyone is perfectly flawed. We feel the same pain. So get on the train and meet me in heaven with the Lord. The Lord, the sinners and the saints are one and the same. Everyone is perfectly flawed with overput hair. So set down your fear and meet me in heaven with the Lord. Yeah, with the Lord.
Amen.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Me and Jesus wrote that one.
Man, that was
Thank
That
you.
was amazing. That
Thank
was
you.
amazing.
what's the name of that
Amazing.
song?
That's called Sinners and Saints.
That's right, it is. That's right, it is. I have that CD actually. And I love the part about put down the stone and go, oh, you just nailed it. No pun intended.
Thanks. Yeah. I needed to speak to the Christians in their own language.
Yeah, that's a powerful and passionate demonstration of your consciousness. And it is
Thank you.
awesome.
Thanks.
That was church in a bottle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gosh, Kathy Richardson, she is just amazing. You can download all of her stuff. She's on YouTube. I mean, this is a song that she wrote. She has tons of albums that she wrote amazing songs. So you're going to enjoy all of them. Never disappointed, as you can tell. You know, just so great.
Here's another one. I wrote this one too. I don't know if it's better with my headphones on or off. I'm just going to turn this down. shame about who I am. And I don't complain because I can't. Nobody likes a complainer, and I couldn't get any saner without a gun in my hand. And I wanna fly far away. But you can't judge me, can't begrudge me my faith that I am stone. I belong to this world, and I just believe that G.O.D. my DNA, and you're never gonna take it away from me. Walk in the park when you feel closed in, and go to the bar when you're with a friend. 'Cause anything's better than nothing, except when you're talking about something that only you understand. And I wanna fly far away. You can't judge me, can't begrudge me my faith. I am strong. I belong to this world. Yeah, I just believe that G.O.D. my DNA, and you're never gonna take it away from me. Never gonna take it away from never gonna take it away from me. Never gonna take it away from me. Never gonna take it away from me.
Woohoo!
Thanks,
Woo!
everybody.
Trifecta today, Keith.
Sincerely, man. Tell us a little bit about that song, because that song is, I mean, it's just like when you think your jaw fell on the floor, you like the floor falls through and you get enough pause. Tell us about that song.
I wrote that in my basement. I was in the basement where my studio is, and I just started playing those chords and just started singing, and that's what came out. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, that. You took us all the way there. You took us to the Crown Chakra. That was it. Spark of inspiration just came fully loaded. You just had to download. But like, I don't know about anybody else, but that's how I feel when she sings. Like it takes me to it. Right? I know. How do we get so lucky? Anyhow, that was stunning. Thank you for being such an amazing singer, but also amazing teacher. Like your songs are activists. These are songs, of course, this, but wonderful.
That's amazing. Thank you for saying that. And it just, because I had this whole thought process this morning, I have to share this.
Good.
When I was, when my mom was dying of cancer and she's in the hospital. Both my parents have passed away, by the way, so I don't think they mind me talking about them. So I got in a fight with my dad about politics, of course. Everybody knows I'm very, very opinionated politically. And my dad got really offended because I know this is not important, but we were talking about George Bush, and he says, why does everybody talk about oil with him? He's not an oil guy. He owns a baseball team. I said, how do you think he bought the baseball team, Dad? He got an oil company for his 21st birthday. And this really upset my dad that I knew something that he didn't know. So he said, you know what, Kathy, you're a singer. If you want to be an activist, be an activist. And if you want to be a singer, but you're a singer. And I said, I can do both. And then I said, whatever, white man. And I stormed out the door. It was one of my best exit lines ever. But anyway, I was thinking this morning about how I am an activist and a singer, and I use my music to be an activist, and I can walk and chew gum at the same time. And I thank you for psychically picking up on that today. Thank you.
Absolutely. I didn't feel like I was telling you what you already knew, but you just maybe had to hear it because you can't, because art should be activism. It should be activism. I believe that completely. Everything that I create feels like there is a more important message than just expression, And to be able to do that, like you say, walk and chew gum, to be able to do that is not a mistake. You decided to do that. And because you decided to do that, you get to do that. And to be able to use your music and your talents for a higher purpose, it becomes, forget about it, untouchable. It's gorgeous. So I don't even know how we say thank you, but thank you. We say thank you by paying her. That's how we say thank you. So go buy her CDs, share her.
It's a nice energy exchange. I appreciate very much. And
Yeah.
you guys are literally keeping me afloat right now because as you know,
Yeah.
this is my only job. This and being an activist, which I'm also, but I don't get paid for that. So
Yet.
I told Rachel, just wait, I'm gonna be a pundit before you know it. And I hate pundits.
Okay, white woman.
Or whatever, white woman.